Men are messed up, and so are women. The difference is that men are mocked when they show weakness, and women are cherished. Now, failed men are mocked incessantly by everyone on both sides of the political spectrum and every religion. We hold men up to high standards, and we have no mercy if they fail. If you want to know the breed of humans who no one cares about, look at failed men. Look at men in general. Ironically, it's the same group that everyone depends on. The rare attempts to help men treat men like women. We pat them on the head, we tell them to express their feelings more, etc. In reality, hurting men need to be inspired and strengthened, not coddled. Young men often feel despair and bitterness because they want marriage and they want fatherhood, but they can't find a suitable mate. I found that most men have this wholly good and healthy desire, but they're ashamed to even complain about it. They know society will savage them, so they resort to short-term relationships if they're chads, or porn addictions if they're not. Both things lead to more despair, more bitterness, makes our world worse. And so what if, crazy idea, we strengthen and encourage young men instead, look, what if we tell them the truth, that if as they get older and they get more experience, they'll be more attractive to women. They should work hard. They should acquire virtue. But instead, we just laugh and mock and demonize all men, never asking once how they got into this state. We don't reward good behavior. We only punish bad behavior. We assume good men emerge by default instead of being formed. And then we're surprised when good men don't appear. We concern ourselves only with women. This is natural. There's a natural desire to cherish women that hasn't gone away despite years of indoctrination. What we've forgotten is that men and women have a symbiotic relationship. What hurts one hurts the other. Women and men need each other. If you neglect one, the other will suffer every time. We are not talking about two species here. We are talking about yin and yang. Men's unhappiness leads to women's unhappiness. But in the beginning, it was not so. A mutual DM recently asked me, a husband and father, for advice on how to be a good husband and father. And I really had to think of how to answer him. This is a very masculine problem. Unlike motherhood, fatherhood doesn't come automatically with biology. I'm not saying motherhood is completely biological, of course. Women need to learn how to be a good mother, but men need to learn just how to be a father. Fatherhood is almost a completely non-biological endeavor. In order to be successful at it, training and discipline are needed. But does society even care about this? No, we just call failed fathers deadbeat dads. We mock, we demonize them, we penalize them. They are scum. They are nothing. Do you ever notice how we assume that the natural state of man is to be selfish pigs who only care about sex, and also that any man who abandons his child is the worst scum on earth? Do you ever notice that these two assumptions are contradictory? I suspect that even deadbeat dads would prefer not to be so. That if they could have the ideal situation, they would want a wife who supported them and helped them be a better man. Now, did you experience outrage reading that? That's the problem. That's a problem I'm talking about. Because deadbeat dads don't appear ex nihilo. Men are not selfish, sex-crazed, heartless bastards by default. There's several causes of this, and blame is not only on the humans with penises. For example, do you know that women can either make a man feel like Superman or like the scum of the bottom of their shoes simply with words? Men care very much about women's opinions. It's part of our nature. And how does the modern world describe this? As fragile masculinity. Gee, thanks. Mocking any part of masculinity is not going to help, especially if it comes from women. So, women, your compliments are to men like water and sunlight to a plant. Your insults to men are like shears. Don't cut down all men and then complain that there aren't any men around. And I think that women bear a lot of the blame for the loosening of sexual mores. I am not saying it was women's idea or that men are blameless, but women get none of the blame, despite the fact that they control any sexual actions, and always have, rightly so. But somehow our societies decide that men, and only men, are responsible for the rampant promiscuity, the insane sexualization of culture, the gross immodesty. It's not like men are blameless in this. Neither sex is blameless, and both have to fix it. But just think about the sexual mores from 50 years ago. It might be hard to believe, but women actually shamed each other for immodest or promiscuous behavior. It was never men. This idea that men had ever had the ability to control female mores is kind of silly. In general, men have controlled the big things in history, and women have controlled the little ones. These quotes, I mean, big and little, I mean, like, I'm putting those in quotes. Societal norms, the women's domains, they're far more influential than politics or wars. I mean, this can be seen in any family. Who controls most things? Ladies, the feminist fantasy of patriarchy controlling every little thing is disproven just by looking at your own parents. Do you think your dad even cares about every little thing you do? Would he even want to control every decision you make? Now, your mother, on the other hand. I mean, this division into decisions makes sense when you think about human reproduction. Men have to make only one big decision to start a new life, and women have to make a million small decisions to nurture that life. Is it any wonder that our psychology mirrors our biology? So, how do you make good men again? First of all, you need good women. Women and men cannot be good without each other. If women cherish their own sexuality, men will cherish it too. And here's the good news. Men want to cherish it. Men would welcome it. The decent ones anyway. They're always going to be the scummy men. But most men want to cherish female sexuality. I mean, most men, the chivalry speaks to them, just like it speaks to women. This restoration of sexual sanity falls mostly within the domain of women. I mean, I think it's the only thing that's the way I see to get back to normalcy. Any top-down imposition, the domain of man, the man move, will likely get resisted and resented. So, I mean, I need to stress that sexual sanity is desired by everyone when they're being honest. Everyone wants the ideal marriage. Men don't want to marry promiscuous women. Women don't want to marry weak and beaten down men. Each sex blames the other. We bite each other instead of helping each other. But the truth is that men and women fit together like puzzle pieces, both physically and mentally. We need each other. We should strive to understand each other. Any ideology that demeans one sex or pits one sex against the other is a toxic ideology. It will literally poison society by setting us up against each other. Who should heal and inspire men? Women. And who should cherish and protect women? Men. We need each other. When we hear each other, we hurt ourselves. If you like this video, please subscribe to my channel.